Today I will show you how my game changed from this shitty garbage into this still not finished game. Let's go! So everything started at my job, where I came across a new technology, this one. It was designed to make the concurrent and distributed systems, networking, online things, etc. And every time I'm checking the new technology, I'm making the new game for it, as you can see here or here. This one was not the exception, so I decided to make an MMO roguelike game with heavy load of storytelling and exploration, like mixing the Crypto the Necrodancer, The Binding of Isaac, the Zelda games, Metroidvania, World of Warcraft, I think, and the NetHack. If you are a fan of roguelites, you have to at least once in your life make a holy journey to the roots, the rogue. Or NetHack, which I found better. At this time there was no things like Hades or Children of Morta. What I really lacked in the roguelikes was that there was no story at all. So I decided to make my own game. This is the first version, the prototype that I made. You can just walk and there is some generated dungeon. You can fight with the enemies, I think. No, you... Oh, yeah, you can. Do you see this funny hat? First version of TAnima world looks like this. There is no more time in the world, but there are the time cowboys. They carry containers where they store time, they move by using some of this time, and they animate world in some radius because of it. They are fighting for more time, which they use to move, to find more time. That's how name of the game was born. I've added the weapons, you can see it here. I decided to add the AI to the enemies. They can do something more than just wandering around. I came to the great article about making the game feel in the game.
Screen shake. So this is something that kind of became a thing Vlambeer is known for or something, but that's just because it's like when someone shows you a game and they ask how to improve it, usually the answer is, hey, add some screen shake, because nobody does it and it's super easy and it makes your game better. Like, see how it's shaking just a little bit? This guy feels good, like he's just shooting and stuff's happening. Like, this guy is sad, this guy is happy. And especially when you shoot stuff, like, yeah. See, game feel, that's what we're talking about.
It was from the creators of the new Nuclear Throne. I wanted to add some kind of shield that can be used by the player, but these mechanics didn't work well, and I dropped it. It was the time of prototyping, so a lot of things has been dropped. I was learning useful design techniques and I was testing them in my playground. I will put some interesting links in the description. Next thing was adding the decorations to the level, this orange things and this graffiti. It looks much better. After many attempts it converted into my procedural graphics object system. I was also testing some more conventional ways to do this, like describing resources in the JSON format, but my script-based solution was a lot better, easier and faster to use. Next I've added the concept of stamina, so you can't use your weapon to attack if your stamina is depleted. Each weapon has its own stamina usage, so for example you can use more dagger than the sword or wand, but it was also dropped later. It was killing the dynamics of the gameplay. I want to like playing my own game. It was not funny back then. After this I've implemented the pathfinding and some more not empty rooms. Here I was working on the, what it was? AI, new enemies, and each of them has its own script. This one is the healer and there is the boss fight. Oh, I died. Okay, one more time. Yeah, so simple boss, same texture is right now in the current game, and there is some first attempt to shadows and lighting. It's much different from the previous one. Do you know that there is a subscribe button below this video? Why not to use it? There is some simple shop that you can buy items. At this point I've added the equipment and the torch. Next important thing was attempt to add some text into the game. And next thing was the jumping feature, so you can actually jump in this game. And also you can just die when you go into this hole. Right here. Next thing was the attack modifiers. Here there is a burn and freeze modifier. Maybe we can... Here the enemies are burned when attacked with this weapon. It's nothing new. You can find it in other games too. Diablo would be my first match. And then it came to the first test of the networking. There are 2 clients and it worked well. Later I deployed my game on some cheap server and I was able to run up to 800 bots. Not bad for $5 a month. After this I've decided to make some traps. There are some shooting lasers. Yeah, so I started to add some more puzzles to the game. Maybe you know this little game. And there was no way to put all the players on the same space, so I created the dungeon instances. Here, when the players came into this elevator, it will be teleported to the one instance of the dungeon. So you can see it here. Yeah, this one will not go there, and these 2 are in the same instance of the dungeon, and the third one won't. And then I started to create the logo for this game. Do you remember these cowboys with fun hats? No more. One big human empire with one human emperor. They explore the universe, they find out big crystal on some planet, they make a mining colony for criminals. Oh no, Big Crystal is actually alive. He cuts off miners from the empire, he makes miners immortal, he talks to them in their heads, and it is named TAnima, by the way. And it's she, animated tower. Next thing that this game lacked was the tutorial, and there is some story plot, and it's okay. And then I started to make the first version of the Bastion. So there is some shop, actually both shops, one for the items and second one for the weapons. And there is some kind of donation. You can actually put some money and upgrade the town, and other players can do it as well. And the next funny thing that I've added was the NPC that collects the garbage that is on the floor. So I put some items, he is gathering them, he is putting them into the incinerator, he will just remove them. Garbage collector. Next thing that I added was the progress system. There are statistics from the casual RPG games, like strength, intelligence or dexterity, and each weapon has its own multipliers based on these statistics, and you can see my face. The first time in these videos. At start, there were a lot of RPG elements, genre that I played the most in my childhood. When I removed it, I liked the game much more. There were not that many games that I wanted to play after making them. I still like to play TAnima. It is one of the many reasons that makes me still coming back to it after years. So the next thing was the player's room, and player can actually put some things in there, and it was a bad idea. After some time I've added the passive items, it's not that. Yeah, so for example this ring is increasing the intelligence by 1 point, and it worked pretty well. Did you play Dead Space before? I love its immersive UI. Right now I'm trying to do something similar in TAnima. After this I started to work on the level design. This room's layout, this is so much different from the previous ones. Maybe we can find some other one. Yeah, the trap room. Yeah, so all of them was the procedurally generated at this point. And then was the first attempt to make the soundtrack for the game. I won't show you it because it's so bad. And there is the first attempt to make the adaptive music.
Okay, so let's see the transition of these.
It was so bad. GDC is a big pile of knowledge. Just go there and take some for yourself. Okay, so the next puzzle, this is the Sokoban. You can just push the blocks, just like in the Sokoban. Do you know that there are Sokoban levels available online? I've embedded Sokoban mechanics into my game, and these levels were imported straight from the source. And then I was working hard on the dungeon generation. And then I've added some post-processing, right?
They're thoroughly alright and decent fellows with their hit single, In Bloom. Here they are!
The Bloom. And the first attempt for the Fury mode, or the Rage mode. One of my goals was to respect the rule of pizza-driven design. Player has to be able to play while eating pizza at the same time. Next was the first atom to the perk system. The mutations. Perks are one of the standards in the modern roguelikes. I think that the Binding of Isaac made it popular, or maybe I'm wrong. And what we have here is this experimental integration with the Discord. It is all controlled from my Discord channel. Back then I was testing the concept of community games, controlled by spectators at Twitch stream, for example. Still worth to explore, but not essential feature. And it was the first milestone, the alpha teaser. It was so bad. Here there were servers that you can choose. It is the consequence of my immersive UI design. When I was making this video, Design Doc released video about it, and at this point I've added some SFX that you can hear it right now. Audio is one of the most important layers of the game, and just like any other developer, I'm using placeholders and wish to change them at some point. And then I've started to make some soundtracks. First one, next one here that is still in use. This one is not in use. This one will be probably in use. This one you can actually hear in the first trailer on the Steam page. And there is a Steam page where you can wishlist TAnima. Remember, more wishlist and more likely I will drop my job and work on the game full time. And at this point I was thinking about adding some artifacts. It was the active items and the essences. So each essence can be applied to the sword or other weapon, and the weapon will gain the effect of the essence. There will be the first attempt to make the TAnima conversations, like that. It differs a lot from this one that is in the game. Do you remember this big crystal talking to the prisoners all the time? It started to materialize here. Right now, TAnima is one of the most weird antagonists that I've seen in the games, or anywhere. Sometimes I find myself talking with her when making new conversation scripts. Another soundtrack. And then I have some work to do in my job, so I didn't have a time to make my game. I came back to it after 2 years. There were a lot of changes. It started to look like the current version, and at this point I decided to add some metroidvania-like key looks. This is something that I'm reworking right now. Do you remember when I've said something about exploration? I want TAnima to be full of things to discover. I will tell you more about it in the next videos. I've added the scripted camera and this whole scenario scripts, and at this point I decided to not make the MMO game. I was aware of the danger of making a MMO game, but I was surprised that the game itself stopped me from making it. Networking was something that I am taking care as a professional, but when I've added plot to the game, I saw that these two things are fighting each other. There is still networking code underneath, so I will come back to it after release of single player mode. There's the first attempt to the rich text engine. It doesn't look as great as you can see. And then I created the adaptive music engine, same as you can see in the game right now. And these little one things, minions. They are used as the perk system. So basically each of these minions gives some of the skills to the player. The inspiration from the Binding of Isaac shall be clear here. And I've decided to make the content of the game external from the core, so I could work with some other people, but it never happened. I would like community to be involved in the content creation, so modding support will be essential. After this time, my child was born. So after taking care of some personal things, I decided to create this channel, and many features have been dropped, many features has been added, and now we can start to make some real devlogs.